Are we bound to the law, that is, the law of the Old Testament? Or in Christ, are we free from the law? In yesterday's devotional, I suggested that the answer is, paradoxically, yes. We are both bound to the law and yet also free from it. How can this be, though? I suggested that it is one of the central dilemmas or paradoxes we face in the Christian faith that is better left unresolved. For the next several days, I'll work through some of the laws of the Old Testament and try to demonstrate their continuing significance even for us Christian people. Then I'll turn to some of the other dilemmas and paradoxes we face in the Christian faith. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Friday, July 25th, 2025. As I pointed out yesterday, we seem to get mixed messages about the relationship of Christians to Old Testament law, even in the New Testament. We usually read Paul's theology as freeing us from the requirements of the law. Yet Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount, says with no apparent ambiguity, "Do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished." And Paul himself actually echoes this idea in his epistle to the Romans when he says, "Do we then overthrow the law by this faith? By no means. On the contrary, we uphold the law." So the question really becomes, how are we bound to the law? What is its ongoing significance for us? The best way to answer that question is to look at several laws or groups of laws in the Old Testament and see how they might apply to us in the church. Then perhaps we can draw a general rule that might help us out. The first set of laws I want to explore are laws regarding our ethical duties to our neighbors. These are pretty easy to relate to our faith today, actually. Jewish tradition holds that there are 613 laws in the Old Testament. I don't know if that's actually true or if there are different ways to count that would give a different result, but that's really irrelevant, isn't it? What is relevant is that the Old Testament contains quite an array of laws, all the way from laws governing sacrifices to God, to laws concerning the way we dress, to laws dealing with specific situations that arise in the normal course of life in any community. Here are some of the laws in Leviticus 19, an especially important chapter in that book. "When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not strip your vineyard bare or gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the alien. I am the Lord your God. You shall not steal, you shall not deal falsely, and you shall not lie to one another. And you shall not swear falsely by my name, profaning the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not defraud your neighbor. You shall not steal, and you shall not keep for yourself the wages of a laborer until morning. You shall not revile the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind. You shall fear your God. I am the Lord. You shall rise before the aged and defer to the old, and you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. When an alien resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the alien. The alien who resides with you shall be to you as the citizen among you, and you shall love the alien as yourself, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. You shall not cheat in measuring length, weight, or quantity. You shall have honest balances, honest weights, an honest ephah, and an honest hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall keep my statutes and all my ordinances, and observe them. I am the Lord. You can see that these laws don't necessarily all apply directly to us, especially those of us who live in cities where we don't farm land or raise cattle. But you can also see that these laws have to do with things we see in the Ten Commandments, only now adding some detail. More than that, though, you can easily see that these all have to do with the way we treat one another. We may not lie, cheat, steal, play dirty tricks on those who are vulnerable, or take unfair advantage of the marginalized in our midst. So what can we glean from these laws from Leviticus, even those that no longer directly apply to our situation? Two things, I think, and I'll talk more about these things in the days ahead, but briefly, first, we can see that at least part of the law reminds us that we have a duty to our neighbors, both near and far. Our duty is for fair treatment in all circumstances. And the second, even though the specific requirements of some of these laws no longer apply to us, the spirit of these laws is alive and well. Old Testament law is not a dead letter. It continues to guide us even today. Tomorrow, laws related to sacrifices to God. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.